Hello, and welcome to episode 167 of Rivers Arcade Review. My name is Ed. This channel is dedicated to the coin-operated video games of yesteryear. Today I'm doing a viewer request. Today's game was requested by the viewer Don McCullen, and the game they requested was Stargate. Stargate was released in 1981 by Williams. My first time playing this game was at Chesdan's King Pizza in Chicago, Illinois. Stargate is a space shooter themed game in which you control your ship with a two-way up and down joystick and 6 buttons. One to fire, one for thrust, one for reverse, one for hyperspace, one for smart bomb, and one for inviso. You need to defend your planet against a continuous barrage of enemy invaders. This game is the sequel to the popular game Defender and is also referred to as Defender 2. This game plays very similar to Defender, although there are many new additions. The first allows the player to buy not only extra lives, but bonus lives. For example, the default setting is 3 ships for 1 credit and 7 ships for 2 credits. You control a ship with an endless supply of laser fire. In addition to the laser, you'll begin with the smart bomb for each ship you start the game with. Pressing the smart bomb button will cause all enemies on screen to be destroyed. This game offers you a new item for your arsenal. You now have the ability to cloak your ship by pressing the inviso button. By pressing this button, your ship will become invisible, and now you can safely fly into enemies, causing them to explode. You need to use the inviso sparingly because you have a limited amount. In addition, you have a hyperspace button. Pressing this button will randomly move your ship to a different spot on the playfield. You need to use the hyperspace with caution because you can land on an enemy or explode upon re-entry. This game takes place above a planet that has a mountain landscape. Unlike Defender, the landscape outline will be tricolored as opposed to monocolored, although this doesn't affect gameplay. There will be 10 humanoids roaming the landscape. You need to defend these humanoids at all costs. This game has 14 different enemies as opposed to the original 6. These enemies will be more animated than in Defender. The first enemy is the lander. This enemy will be green with 3 legs. These enemies will not only fire shots at you, they will attempt to capture your humanoids. Once the landers line up above a humanoid, they will descend upon them and grab them and take them upward. You will get an audio warning letting you know that they have been captured. Once the lander captures one of your humanoids, you'll need to rescue them. In order to rescue them, you'll need to shoot the lander before it reaches the top of the playfield. Once you shoot the lander, it will cause the humanoid to fall downward. Once a humanoid begins falling, you will need to fly your ship to catch them before they land onto the ground. Once you grab the humanoid, you can place them back into the landscape for extra points. You need to catch the humanoids because if they fall from too high a distance, they will die when they land, although if they aren't too high up, they will survive the fall. If the lander manages to bring the humanoid to the top of the playfield, it will become a mutant. Once a humanoid is captured and becomes a mutant, it will be gone for the remaining levels until reaching a level ending in 1 or 6. This is when the humanoids are replenished. Mutants look like a hybrid of a lander and a humanoid. These enemies will move very erratically, making it hard to shoot them. The third enemy is called a pod. This enemy is star-shaped, and when it is shot, it will release a series of small red ships called swarmers. The swarmers are the 4th enemy you will face. Just like the name implies, these enemies will swarm your ship, making it hard to shoot them as well as survive. The 5th enemy is the bomber. This enemy is cube-shaped and will lay stationary mines in the air. You need to avoid these mines because contacting one will cost you a life. The 6th enemy is the baiter. The baiter is a flat green spaceship that will appear if you take too long to complete the level. This enemy will hone in on your ship while firing shots at you. This enemy is the hardest to shoot due to its short stature. In addition to the 6 original enemies, you will face 8 new ones. The first new enemy is the firebomber. This will be a spinning bow tie shaped enemy that will act similarly to the bomber, although it will shoot high-speed fireballs at your ship. These fireballs are the second new enemy, and you can shoot them for extra points. The third new enemy is the yellow band space guppy. These enemies look like small fighter ships that will attack in swarms that will home in on your ship. The 4th new enemies are called Freds. This enemy is a pink square-shaped enemy. The 5th enemy is called a big red. This enemy is a red squared enemy. Both of these enemies will have mouths that are continuously opening and closing. Both of these enemies will launch smaller versions of themselves called munchies. The munchies are the 6th new enemy you will face, and they are green-shaped enemies also with a mouth that will continuously open and close. The 7th and 8th enemies are also combined. The 7th enemies are called dynamos. These enemies are comprised of the 8th enemy, which are called space hums, which are small diamond-shaped enemies. These space hums will periodically break off the dynamos. Since the playfield is about 8 times wider than the screen, there will also be a scanner at the top of the playfield. This scanner shows the landscape as well as enemy placement. You need to use this scanner to see where the enemies are before you fly into that area. You must avoid all of these enemies because contacting one will cost you a life. You must also destroy all these enemies to advance to the next level. You do not need to destroy the baiters, fireballs, space hums, Freds, big reds, and munchies to advance. Clearing each level will award a bonus for each humanoid remaining, and you will begin the next level with how many humanoids you had remaining. In addition to these enemies, there will be a rectangular shaped item called Stargate. This Stargate works in 3 different ways. Under normal circumstances, flying into the Stargate will bring your ship to the opposite end of the playfield. The second way the Stargate operates is if a lander has captured one of your humanoids, flying into the Stargate will bring your ship to the location where the humanoid is being captured, making it easier for you to shoot the lander and save your humanoid. The third way the Stargate operates is as a level warp. To activate the level warp, you need to capture and retain a predetermined number of humanoids on your ship. This number will vary based on management settings, although the factory recommended is 4 humanoids. If your ship is holding the required number of humanoids and you enter the Stargate, you'll warp ahead 3 levels and receive the bonus for all humanoids remaining. You will need to use caution when firing near the humanoids because they can be destroyed by your shots. If a lander grabs the last humanoid, you'll get a warning below the scanner that the planet has become unstable. If the last humanoid is captured or destroyed, the planet will explode. If the planet explodes, all landers will automatically become mutants, making it very difficult to clear each level. On level 5 and every 10 levels thereafter will be a Yalaban dogfight. This level will take place in space, meaning there is no planet or humanoids during this level. During these levels you will face an armada of Yalaban space guppies. Similarly, on level 10 and every 10 levels thereafter will be a firebomber showdown level. This level will consist of an armada of firebombers. As the levels increase, the enemies will increase in speed and number. Similar to Defender, the playfield is divided into 256 invisible vertical lines, 0 to 255. Line 0 is an invisible line that determines the edge of the playfield. This line will determine which directions the mutants and swarmers will attack your ship. Since the programming has these enemies seek your ship via the shortest route possible. Therefore, if the enemies are on, say, line 250, and your ship is on, say, line 5, the computer believes the difference of 240 lines is the fastest way to reach your ship, therefore it appears that the enemies are taking the longest route to your ship. Scoring for the game is as follows. You'll earn 50 points for shooting each munchie, 100 points for shooting each fireball and space hum, 150 points for shooting each lander, mutant and swarmer, 200 points for each Bader, Dynamo, Yellowband Space Gummy, Fred, and Big Red, 250 points for shooting each bomber and firebomber, and 1,000 points for each pod. For destroying a pod with the smart bomb, you'll earn either 1,450 or 1,600 points. At the end of each round, you'll earn 100 points times the round number for each remaining humanoid up to a 500 point maximum. After warping to the Stargate, you'll earn a bonus of 2,000 points per humanoid remaining. For catching the humanoids, you will earn 500 points for catching the first, 1,000 points for catching the second, 1,500 points for catching the third, and 2,000 points for catching the fourth and all further humanoids. These scores will reset after you place the humanoids back on land or lose a life. You will earn 500 points for placing each humanoid in the landscape, and 250 points for each humanoid for falling safely onto the landscape. You'll also earn 2,500 points for completing each Yellowband dogfight wave, and 25 points for getting shot by an enemy. I wasn't a fan of this game due to the complexity of the controls, although I can't condemn this game due to my inability to play, so I would recommend playing it if you can find it in arcade settings, and setting up the button layout for emulation is difficult. I like this game even less than Defender, so Stargate flies into the bottom position of 167th overall. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any games you'd like me to review, please leave a message below or on my homepage. Please remember to hit like, share, and subscribe, and stay tuned to new videos every Sunday.